when you're going through life, I feel like it's very easy to get caught up in your own world. It's very easy to get caught up in, I guess, the bad things. But there is no good, there is no bad. It's just what you perceive life as. I feel like a lot of us are so focused on what we don't have, and a lot of us are focused on the bad things that we forget to love our life. And I feel like if you're forgetting to love your life, then you're not appreciating what this sorrow is for you right now, because this sorrow will turn into joy. This bad day will give you a chance to love those days that aren't so bad at all. I feel like it's giving yourself enough freedom to be free of your mind sometimes, and to be free of the bad things that go on in your world. Because we complain so much about things, and we complain and worry about so much of these things that aren't in our control anyways. We are the authors of our life. We have control over our mind, of our actions, of feeling a certain way, of our reactions. And I feel like if you control those 4 things, if you watch those 4 things, if you watch what you do, if you watch what you say, if you watch how you feel, and you watch what you think, you will be able to transform your life with just these 4 simple things. Now, it may seem simple. It may seem way easier said than done, for sure. But if you watch what you say, you will be less quick to react in a negative way. If you're watching what you're thinking, you will be less likely to say some of the negative thoughts that come to your head. If you watch how you feel, your reactions to your emotions, it won't be so quick-witted. You won't be so quick to rash out on other people. You won't be so quick to anger. And I feel like I'm missing one more. What you do. Lastly, your actions. All these things lead up to your actions. If you don't watch what you say, your actions will follow your words. If you don't watch what you think, your actions will follow your thoughts. It all lines up with each other. You know what I'm saying? So when I say things like be positive and think in a positive way, I'm not saying that life is always beautiful. Life can be so treacherous sometimes. This is a journey. But if you look at the elderly, majority of the time they're at peace. Why are they at peace? Because they have did everything that they could in their lifetime. They have done everything that they could have done to live the life that they have. They've appreciated all the low moments, and they've also appreciated the high moments. But at some point in time, you have to understand that, you can still love life and not be okay every day. You can still appreciate life through the hardship. And a lot of us need to give some grace to ourselves, and we need to be patient with ourselves, man. Hello, Ladybug. And oftentimes, we're always focused on what we're not doing. And we're always focused on what other people are doing, especially. But if you watch those 4 things that I was talking about, if you watch those 4 things, you have the ability to create this life that you can actually live. Not this life that you are just going through the motions, no. If you want to live your life to the highest potential, if you want to be able to enjoy the days that you are struggling, and it might sound weird, like how can you enjoy the struggle? Because it's a part of life. Without sorrow, there will be no joy. Without sadness, there is no happiness. Without light, there is no darkness. Without darkness, there is no light. Vice versa, it's the same thing. With happiness, with the good times in your life comes bad times. But it's when you get in that pit, just know that God always has your back. And God knows the plan, and God is the true author. God is the illustrator. You may just be the author. He's the one who publishes that book. Every thought that you have, every action that you do, make sure that it is inspired from God, you know? And I feel like you will start to see your life change. Just like the trees, they lose their leaves. But they're so rooted in who they are. Their roots grow deep, they run deep. Their pain runs deep, their suffering runs deep. But they're always showing up. And that's just the one thing that you must do. Regardless of how you think, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you say, regardless of what you do, show up for yourself in some sort of way. I'm not saying you have to fake a smile. I'm not saying that, because some days I cry. Some days I go through it. Some days I worry. Some days I stress. Some days I just have to rest because it gets hard. But on the days that I do not stress, oh, best believe that today is going to be a beautiful day. Why? Because I say it's going to be. And if you watch everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you think, and everything, in every which way how you feel, instead of worrying about other people's opinions on how you should feel, on how you should think, on how you should, you know what I'm saying? On how you should show up. You feel what I'm saying? You will start to live out of this version of yourself who's ready to evolve, who's constantly evolving, who's constantly growing, who's constantly in love with themselves, even on their bad days. So that's why I say it's important to find ways to love the pain, find ways to love the sorrow, because it will turn into joy. Find ways to be patient with yourself on your hard days. You know, because we expect to be so perfect all the time, and in our reality, it's not how life is meant to be. You know, some things require you to, you're required to lose some people on the way. You're required to fall out with these situations, and you're required to lose yourself at some point in times in life. You know, but it's learning to accept that pain is a part of the process, and pain is a part of your journey. You don't have control over everything that comes into your life, and you don't have control over things that leave your life. But it's important for you to remain true to yourself. It's important for you to remain true to the love that you have for the person, for this soul inside of this body. You don't have a body, you have a soul. You're a beautiful being, you're a beautiful person. Remember that all this is meaningless. All these things that we experience in life, they will mean nothing because we are going to die. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying this to say that even though you are going through a hard time right now, you still have to show up for yourself. You still have to go out there and go after your wildest dreams and understand that everything is possible under the sun because it's already been done before. So if you see somebody else doing the things that you want to do for yourself, not to say that you have to be like them, but be like them. Not to say that you have to copy them, but take notes from them. But remember that you're unique and that you have your own consciousness and that you are your own person. And you don't have to show up for anybody else in that way. You just have to watch those 4 things. Watch what you do, watch what you say, watch how you feel, and watch your thoughts. Watch how you think. And I trust, your life will begin to change. But only if you believe that it can. Only if you believe. I really do appreciate you for watching. You stay blessed, my friend. Shalom.